Well, hey, how you doing out there? Here on Papa Bear's Pepper Channel. I'm Harold, and I'm going to be going over part one of seed starting, one of the primary ways that I start seeds, and kind of let you know the things that I use, the things that you know, these are options for you. By no means does it make me the expert, but it's my way, and I explain it this way because I get good percentages of seed germination, and you know, we all have different methods. This is one of mine, part one, which is my more traditional soil method of starting seeds. So first, to start out, keep your seeds in a nice cool area if you can. If you keep them cool, they last longer. And also keep them in a dark place. A refrigerator is a good place. And what that can do is, by keeping them in a refrigerator, it keeps them thinking that perpetually they're in a winter phase. So when you pull them out to germinate, they do better. The other way you can do it is you can keep them in a cool place, dark place, so that you don't have a problem with them. And then when you're ready, this is a method that I do. I have these containers, and you can see that they're labeled, and these correspond with what I have on my grow list, and I update this every year to go with the numbers. Now, I try and keep the numbers in the peppers, if I'm going to grow the same one again, that I try and keep those numbers accurate to what peppers I use. The good thing I like about these is, A, when you stack them, that's all the more room that you're going to use in your refrigerator. Okay? And B is I can keep all of these seeds isolated, and by doing that, what I mean is each one of these compartments has there's a little tab right on the end of this thing, and you have to push that in. Without it in, that doesn't open. You push in, pop, it opens. And yeah, this is a pill dispenser, and I can't remember if I got this at a dollar store or where I had gotten it, but once you close it, put your seeds in there, put a little bit of your water, and put a little water in there, and then once that's filled up just a little bit, you can go ahead and close it. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can do the water. Some people swear by using tea, the black tea, and you soak your seeds for a minimum of 12 to 24 hours at a minimum. What I use is a product that's called Roots Accelerator by Urban House. And this comes out of, I want to say, it's a Dutch product. But this stuff, let me see if that label's on there. Yeah, it's right in that little, hopefully you can see that, and I don't know if that's too close to see it. But this stuff is awesome. It's not cheap, but it takes so little to do what any other Roots product will do. They keep this stuff, if you go into an indoor garden store, this stuff stays locked up behind a cage. They keep it locked away because it is expensive. But in my opinion, it's the best seed starting formula that there is out there. I've taken seeds that I could not get germinated, and I put a little bit of this, like in this bottle right here, you can see that cloudy. This is actually purified water, this glacier natural water, wherever. If you have a purifier on your refrigerator, then you got good water there. It's filtered water. And I put like 2 drops of this Roots Accelerator in there to make this like cloudy, and hopefully you can see that. You can't even see through here. But that was just 2 drops. And this stuff will help with structuring your roots for your seedlings, as well as getting your seeds germinated and get them to pop with a high rate of success. This year I made a mistake, and I just went with just filtered water, in my seeds, and yeah, I think it's slowed them down for popping. But what I've been doing is, as I water, I'm adding a little bit of this to the underneath when I need to. So I'm introducing this into the soil. That moves on to my next point, which is you're going to get these things and you've got them. In my way of doing it, they're in the refrigerator with water for 3 days. That's just what I do. Doesn't make it right, no, but it's what I do. And by that time, another thing happens. All my seeds that are good seeds should go to the bottom. They should sink. Not every seed type is like that. I want to put that out there because they're not all like that. Some seeds don't do that. However, a majority of pepper seeds are going to sink to the bottom if they're a good pepper. My experience over the many years of me growing is that if a seed floated, and I'd put it in the soil anyway, I haven't never had one pop. I've never had it germinate. So I'm just putting that out there, and that's a term that you'll hear me say when I'm talking about seeds and seed germination propagation, is the word pop, meaning pop. They pop and the roots come out, they start to take off, and the miracle of nature takes over and they start growing, popping. When my seeds pop, that means they've germinated and they're going. So that moves me into my next point, and that is my soil. On this particular soil, I'm using a Jiffy organic soil that you can buy at a local store. Some soils that I recommend, I would recommend Happy Frog's Ocean Forest. It's a little strong for me for a seedling, but you can do it. A really good one is Oregon's Only #2 mix. That stuff is awesome. It is completely organic. It's not cheap, but from starting seeds to transplanting your seedlings, if you're out there looking and saying there's a magic soil, that's about as close as I know to a magic soil. So that just being said, and it's a great indoor soil. It's cleaned. It has really good nutrients in it. I've used it in the past. It's really good. However, I will tell you it's around $20 a bag. If you can find a local indoor grow store, you could get it from them, or you could see if you go to the Nectar for the Gods site, and you can find out where, I believe it's there that you can find out where they sell that or have it shipped to, so you can have it ordered. Another good one is that you can get as a Sunshine #4. That's a really good soil for your transplants. But when I'm doing my seedlings, I take the Jiffy mix and then I grab 2 cups of my worm castings that I create myself. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 worm bins out here that I keep generating worm castings in, and those run throughout the year. In fact, I've got to empty those, so here soon I may do an episode on how I separate my worms from my castings and doing that. So, but I add 2 cups of the worm castings in there with it. The perlite is okay already in there, so I really don't do much there as far as adding anything on top of that. So my worm castings will help with the nutrients, and 2 cups is plenty to put into there. And I found that works well. That coupled with soaking the seeds in my roots accelerator, that's what I do. Or you use black tea or whatever, but that stuff is going to help them continue to grow beyond this, along with the worm casting. So I'm using a pretty pure organic soil in my Jiffy starter mix, and then I put the 2 cups of the worm castings in there and going. All right, so you got all your soil, and then the next thing you need to do is you need to think about how you're going to plant. Now, there's different things that you can do. Might be easier if I just take you out of here and show, Well, let's just do this. So there's many things that you can do, and sorry for disappearing, but I wanted to come up with this and show you a few things. So this was a lid I get at a local place, and you'll see these around. I like these, because they actually vent off and they keep the moisture from building up too much inside. And you can see by this seedling tray, and I've got a couple starts there. There's some going on. They're starting to pop up. That's a reaper. These are carborugas. But you can see the soil it's in good shape. There's no mold. There's nothing going on with there. So this really allows them to, this type of a lid. And this is just a normal, I can go buy these. I've got a place over in that I buy these from, and I'm sure that you can find these type trays from many other stores. But if you can find them, I would recommend them because they're an excellent ventilating type hood. So check your local ones, check Amazon, check eBay, check all of those. But I would recommend them because the normal seed starting trays, they come with, pardon me for a minute, and this is a normal seed starting tray. They come, and you can see that the moisture is just running out of there, and that's good. I mean, I want to keep moisture in here, but I also want some air circulation in there too to keep any mold buildup from occurring. And this is one of the this particular one here is another type. It's a not the Jiffy, and it'll come to me in a minute, I'm sure of it. But so you get that, and as you look here now, this one here, there's a reason on this one that what I have here, you can do these if you want, but these are a full on tray, and the reason those are is because I'm only doing 2 types of seeds in here. And if you can see right there, there's a little number. Well, there's a number there, and then there's a number on the tray, and there's a number there. So that's how I identify on my seed on my seed grow list. That's how I identify them. Instead of writing the names out, I put the names on a list on my computer screen, or on a Word doc, and then I just write numbers. It's a lot easier to track what you're doing by numbers than it is by full names. I can look on there and get the name. And so that being said, now the next thing that I do, and this is the next thing that you're going to need. You got your tray, you got your soil. So with that being done, you're going to need some way of germinating. Superhots, you can start the seeds without a heat mat. You can put them in a warm area in your house, and they're going to germinate more than likely. But I prefer using seed starting mats. And with that, I normally have my light, which if I turn you here, you can see my light right here. This is a 300 watt LED light, full spectrum. And one thing you'll notice here, if you look right down here, all the way to that end, that is one huge seed starting mat. And I got that, I'll admit, I got that on sale. It was at a nursery that was going out of business. And so I picked it up for a deal. It was a real deal. So I picked it up, and I've been using that for a few years. And once that seed starting mat turns on, even when I transplant, I put my plants on those seed mats because I want the soil to be warmer. Because warm soil, it makes happy roots. The microbes inside your soil are very active, like they are in the summertime. So you have a lot of microbiotics going on. You have a lot of of nutrients that are more active, and your roots are going to reach out and be a lot stronger. It's my opinion, if they're getting the warm. One thing I will say is I water from the bottom. I always water from the bottom when I do my first water. Now, that's not to say I may have to dampen some of the cells as they get dried out, and if the cells around them are already, you know, damp, and that's what I say, damp, not wet. Don't, if your soil's wet, you're more than likely going to have problems with germination. Your soil should be damp. It shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't be so wet that it's saturated. You want moisture, but you just don't want to overdo it, because your seeds want to go through that. They want to go through springtime when they get wet, and then as that dries out, they pop and they come up and they start growing. And as the seedlings start to come out, I lessen the amount of water that they get on a consistent basis, because I want to start getting them to reach for that water underneath. And that's when you're going to have your strong roots. So I put them on a seed mat. I'll use all of my seed mats once these start popping, and they stay on the seed mats until they're almost to the point where they're ready to go outside, when I feel that they're safe. And when I move them out to the grow shed, and I'll get a heater going out there. The other thing I recommend, you already saw that I have a light there. This is the other thing I would recommend. Whether you buy one of these little cheap suckers, $5 at Harbor Freight, or you go and buy a digital, or you go get one of the new Amazon smart plugs that you can program, you put your lights on timers. Because one thing that you don't have to worry about is every morning and every evening, turning the lights on, turning them off, and having a consistent schedule. My schedule's consistent. That's one less thing that I have to think about. If I'm at work and say I have to work late, that's okay. My lights are going to turn on. And so I don't recommend running 24 hours a day. I don't think many people do. Some people do it, but it puts a lot of stress on the plants. And I think that for your good photosynthesis and strengthen your growing on your plants, they need that rest cycle. They need that dark. So put it on a timer. My timer runs 14 on. Okay, so I'm running 14 on and 10 off. That's plenty. You could run 16 on, and I will probably bump that up here soon and go to 16 on and 8 off. That's plenty of time for them to rest and go through their photosynthesis. So that's gonna be my outcome. Once I start getting these seedlings to really start popping, that's when I'm gonna move on and go to a 16-8. So that's how I do it. And once I get them planted in, they've sat. What I use now, this is pretty crude, but this is a ballpoint pen, and this is what I measure with. I don't go any deeper than that. And so here's my seed starting little. Once I puncture that into the soil, and I'll just bury it right in. Now, of course, I've already got these in, but you just come in right here, bury it in, and 2 seeds per. You might even go 3 if you really want to make sure your production, or it depends on how many seeds you have. Just push it in, pull it out, drop your seed in, cover it up. Your seed's gonna know which way to go. Okay? And once you do that, you put your lid on. I do recommend one last thing is, let me see if I can show you this real quick. You'll notice I've got cardboard down here on my mat. Okay? And then when I put my seed tray, I put my seedling tray right on that cardboard. And if you want to know why, because they have these little things called thermal switches for controlling or governing your heat mat temperature, right? You can get those. And if you want to do that, that's great. But what I like doing is I put this cardboard underneath between the seed mat, and I just lay it right down on top. So when this is on the ground, I lay the cardboard over the top of that, and then I put my seed tray down on there. Problem solved. That barrier, you have the air barrier of the cardboard, and the perforation, or the way the cardboard's made, allows airflow to come up through. So first of all, it provides a barrier to get your seeds at that optimal temperature for germination without getting them too warm. So it's my recommendation. Put down and I learned that from another one, Elbow Pepper, that I've seen that on his, or it might have been Mitty Gardner, and I thought it was an awesome idea. How cheap is that? You get Amazon boxes in, take it, open it up, lay it on your seed mat, put your seedling tray down. Last of all, put your lid on. Watch your moisture. Watch your moisture. Don't get them wet. Don't kill them with love. Don't kill them with love. Get the soil damp. And what I mean by that is you can crush it and it holds together. But get the soil damp. Bury it, put your seeds in between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. At the most, 1/4 of an inch. And then put them either in a windowsill. If that's all you have, that's fine. But make sure it's a warm place in the house where they can get that heat. You don't want to put them next to a fireplace, but you want them to get the ambient heat that you have in your house. If it's around 70 degrees, then you're fine. It just takes a little longer for the seeds to germinate. Whereas when I run them on a heat mat, I know that they're getting up in that upper tier optimal range that I prefer my seeds be at. I just think that they germinate faster, they germinate more consistently, and so that is that part. Now the next part, I'm going to go into the paper napkin baggie thing that I'm doing this year and what benefits it has. So I'm going to let y'all go out there, and hopefully you've learned something from this and it helps you with your growing, and we'll talk at you later. You have a great day, and we'll see you back.